It's bigger. It's louder. It's better than ever. This still isn't your typical motorsports podcast. This is the 10th anniversary of Crush This, a monster truck podcast brought to you by J Concepts. For 10 years, your hosts, the monster truck Canucker Bradshaw and Dan Chichagash, have brought you into the minds and personalities of the monster truck industry. Strap in and hold on tight. This is Crush This!
And what is going on, everybody? It is a brand new episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. My name is Bradshaw, also known as the Monster Truck Canucker, and I am back. I had to take a little bit of time off due to some family stuff, and I was going through a little bit of dealing with some really nasty headaches for a while. Got that kind of under control now, and then a family member was in the hospital and just dealing with that, and then Easter. So it's been a busy couple of weeks, but thank you to Cheech for holding down the fort. Great episodes that Cheech had. It's going to be, and this episode is going to be really awesome, guys. We are getting ready for one of the biggest independent monster truck shows of the year, and I think it's really cool to see these guys doing this show. The Overdrive Monster Truck Tour is going to be invading Bristol Motor Speedway coming up next month. Gideon Bernard, guy that I've known for a long time, proud of what he's been able to accomplish in the monster truck industry. We're going to be talking all about that. We have his announcer, Austin Ashley, on as well. We're going to be talking all things Bristol. It is going to be awesome. So cool to see somebody new going into that building to do a badass show. Before we get into it, guys, I want to it's kind of neat that I get to say this. There is an album out with my drumming on it, and about a year ago, I had the opportunity to record drums on a very close friend's EP, my friend Melody, and it came out. The album is called Pioneer and is available on Apple Music and Spotify and everything like that. Go check it out. It's a 5-song EP, great songs. It's an honor to be able to be a part of it, and hopefully some cool content for drumming. My drumming stuff will be coming out with that eventually. But guys, we have a few things to do, a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the episode with Gideon and Austin from the Overdrive Tour. Guys, Crush This has always been presented by J Concepts. So we have their code there, Crush This at jconcepts.net for 15% off all your items. Cheech has some of the RCs behind him when he pops on the screen. Go check out what J Concepts is doing. They're doing bodies for the mini LMTs, which is making me want to get one even more now. I can't wait to eventually get one of those things and rip one around. Go check out our buddy Bryce Kenny's book, Geared for Life, Making a Shift into Your Full Potential. Me and Cheech have both read it, listened to the audio version. Bryce is such a great dude. It's cool to see his success and what he's been doing this year. Our buddy Steve Jones, Monster Truck Attitude. Hey, there's been a lot of trash talk between Team Crush This and the Renegades team, but you know what? We always back it up on track. If you want to check out the best die-cast monster truck racing, check out MTA Monster Truck Attitude and go Team Crush This Motorsports. Another partner of ours, Monsters Monthly. Go check out Monsters Monthly. They have been posting our podcasts onto their website, so you can check those out there if you don't have a way to get the stuff off of Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or Spotify, wherever we're at. Go check out monstersmonthly.com. Guys, we have a video or two to play here, and then we will get into the episode with the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour crew. So stay tuned.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
Man, look at that. Getting ready for RC season for ourselves. Myself, we're about to start the Turkey King next weekend. But hey, what's going on? Cheech is here also. Finishing up our Monster Jam season here. We have a couple weeks off, and we'll head over to Idaho. But outside of that, doing pretty well. But how about you guys? How you guys doing today?
Doing good. It's good to be on here and excited to talk and see if we can have a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful, beautiful weather. The weather's starting to break here where it's not really winter anymore. It's starting to be sunny and nice a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same here up in northern Alberta, Canada. I was just talking to you guys and showing you guys about a little bit about the road trip I'm taking. And you guys, nobody really knows how far up into Canada I live. And you guys saw that and you were like, wait, what? So like, I can totally understand, with the weather breaking, it's starting to get absolutely nice and gorgeous here. But, this is going to be a really cool episode. Me and Gideon, or as you see on his shirt, Forrest, him and me go back quite a few years. We've all known each other in some way or capacity over the last couple of years. And, what was about 2 years ago or about a year ago, you started doing the Overdrive tour. You came out with your own promotion and you hit the ground running, booking shows left and right, doing stuff with Nick Davis. How did coming up with the Overdrive tour, how did all that kind of snowball into now what we see it as?
Most people know I've been no stranger to monster truck promotions. I've worked with another group for a long time and did a lot there, and then the things ended up over there for me. And I knew I wanted to keep playing monster trucks, and the only way to do that was to do my own thing. And I knew that if I was going to do it, I had to do it right. And I had no choice. I had a lot invested, so I had to hit the ground running and just really go all out right away. And so that's what I did. And it's made it easy having people like Austin on board. And I've got a great group of people that help me out, so I can't complain. We've done a lot of cool stuff in the last 2 years, and this third year we're going to go even bigger.
And then also, how did we'll get you into this mix too? So you started your promotion company. We saw that a lot through Nick Davis and his back channel productions. You did a lot of shows, really in the area of the East Coast and some in the central part of the United States. But how did you and Austin get together? Because you also did with the other promoters. You did a few times some announcing. I've heard you in a couple shows like in announcing and whatnot, but to take the load off of your back, how did you and Austin meet?
So me and Austin, we've known each other for 6-7 years probably.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, we met just both really being into monster trucks. Gideon was starting up this promotion. He was really wanting to get someone that really kind of knew what was going on for them to be the host. I had never really grabbed a mic and talked on the mic that much before, and I was super nervous. Gideon was teasing me, saying that I was going to also have to sing the national anthem. So let me tell you, I was singing in the shower for months beforehand. But really got to that first show and shadowed Gideon. Of course, first announcement ever made. I always will remember it. Batteries kept dying in the mic. So probably made the same pit party announcement maybe 10 times until we finally figured out it was batteries. But it was a nice way to get into it. I always think the best way to really jump into kind of like public speaking or announcing is really to almost be embarrassed at first and just kind of like ease your way into it. Because to me, I was like, okay, well, that's the worst thing that can possibly happen.
I like people that like sing or announce like what you do, Austin. Like I can't do it. That's why I'm comfortable behind a drum set, because I don't have to do any speaking. I just let the drums do the talking. Like I get nervous even just sometimes doing the podcast, because I'm like, public speaking is hard. Like, but you're doing it live in person to thousands of people that they can see you right there. Mm-hmm. Talk about just like the growth of Overdrive and what's led you guys to doing this event next month, because the growth that you guys have had has been insane. last year doing the live stream and the over under track, which was awesome to see. Talk about the growth you guys have had.
I mean, definitely we've grown a lot, and I'm proud of everything that we've accomplished so far, and excited to see where it continues to grow. I mean, part of the growth is we all just love monster trucks. Like, we are just kids who love monster trucks and want to do cool stuff with monster trucks. And there's a lot of promoters out there nowadays who are in it for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. And we're in it for the fact that we all just want to have a job playing monster trucks and do cool stuff with monster trucks. And, it all works out. If we're having fun, the shows are going to be good and the fans are going to have fun. And that's what it's all about, really.
Man, that's pretty cool. So, you got, with how fast you started your company, it got some pretty cool, like you said, the over-under, Lernerville Speedway. A lot of people still talk about that, especially the race between Crazy Train and Toxic. Still some, even if our, the cool thing is like a lot of my good friends were track crew guys for you at Lernerville, and they still talk about it, and it goes on from there. But, you went to one legendary dirt track. Lernerville is a legendary dirt track around the country. And, you get yourself, let's talk about Lernerville, though. Let's go back, because that's kind of my neck of the woods. Even though later that year, I raced at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's connected with Lernerville. And I think it was back in 2019, I think it was the last time they had a monster truck show there. How did that come in the works? And why did you pick Lernerville for that over and under track? And, you brought some heavy hitters in that show. And it was one of the shows that people talk about, was one of the headlining shows that people talked about in 2024.
Yeah, so Lernerville, Greg over there, he's the manager at Lernerville. He reached out to me when he saw that we were doing Butler, Pennsylvania, which is in the same area, 2023. And he saw some of the stuff that we were doing. He said, hey, let's see if we can work something out. But they wanted to go big. He said, if this is Lernerville, we've got a reputation. They do everything big. He said, we want a big show. And so we worked together to bring them one really cool monster truck show. And I think we accomplished that. It was definitely a highlight of the monster truck summer shows, I believe.
And before you say something, Brad, do have people ask you about that? Was there supposed to be a show this year, or was that with Lernerville? Is there still a plan for that?
So our plan this year, we're going to take this year off. Originally, we were going to keep that Memorial Day weekend, but then Monster Jam's going into Pittsburgh. Doesn't really make enough sense. Unfortunately, this is still a business, so as fun as it is to go out there and do a show, it still has to make sense. And we can't compete with Monster Jam at this day and age.
Yeah.
You said one thing there at the beginning is you guys like to keep it fun and being fans of the sport, and I think that's something that needs to be kind of more of a not a selling point, but like so many people take this industry too serious, and like the way that you guys are describing, like just having fun. I love that, because that's what I see with your guys' shows, especially Lernerville, like watching the live stream. Like I had so much fun watching that, and like just talk about just still keeping that fan side of you, because there's so many times where you go to a show and it's like, and I've been to other shows with different motors, and it's like, oh, you have to be serious all the time. No, have fun. Talk about that mentality and just keeping it loose and just having fun during a show weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I know Austin could talk about this. Like, he can vouch, like all we're talking about is putting on cool shows and the cool stuff that we can do. I mean, like, it's a really great environment.
Yeah, and when we're not there, we're talking about monster trucks. I mean, all we're doing is talking about monster trucks, whether we're texting, we're calling, not at a show, we're always talking about it. Definitely, especially Lernerville. I remember a couple of times, like you mentioned, that specific race at Lernerville. I just remember being in the booth, just kind of like jaw dropped. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you do have to talk into the mic. You can't just kind of lay in silence, kind of with your jaw down to the floor. But it's really fun to watch, really entertaining, and it kind of gives you a whole nother kind of side of, we've all been fans and we've all also now been involved, and it kind of gives you a different look from just growing up and watching the sport kind of unfold, where now you can also kind of see the back end things of the sport that I also find super interesting as well.
Actually, we're going to go with a question for Austin here. I'm pointing down here, but because when you're talking about, you watched that certain race in Lernerville and your jaw dropped and you wanted to say something, Pat McAfee, if you guys may know him, he's an Indiana legend, West Virginia boy, Pittsburgh kid, but he has a huge podcast and he's part of the WWE.
What?
Yeah. He talked about how the reason why people like him so much is because he's a fan and it organically comes out of him. Not holding back, just letting out. If he sees something cool, because he doesn't, people say, yeah, wrestling is predetermined, but during the match itself, it's getting called in the ring. They don't know that he's going to jump from the third rope and land on the guy on the table. No one's going to know about that, or doing something in the crowd. So he's becoming organic. With you, Austin, is that also what helps you interact with the fans itself in the racetrack or wherever you're at announcing, because you're a fan also, and then you're bringing your excitement organically to the people, because sometimes a lot of people pay attention or follow what another person's action is internally in their head, like, man, I can't wait to do this, and then they're worried about, I'm just gonna look like a fool. Well, they see you doing that, and then some people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'm gonna do that also. So for you, organically makes it much better for you to show excitement and stuff like that, being an announcer?
Yeah, I always like to think that when I'm announcing, it's essentially, sometimes in the past, like we would hop on, video calls during a show, like back in the day when shows weren't live streamed, and, going to a show with a friend and like actually having that interaction. And basically on the mic, I like to try to have that interaction where the crowd is a conglomerate of basically just one friend that like I'm talking to about the show, and giving them little insights on why, like, maybe they might not know that like this is important or this was super cool because maybe this is their first show. So just kind of like really thinking through like what could be the most exciting and what like I find myself super excited to explain to them and exclaim when, any truck does any move, a backflip's done, anything like that. It's definitely helpful to kind of have the audience almost be, in a sense, like your friend that you're watching the show with.
And I actually like that a lot, because I've been to some shows where like the announcer can be just so flat and just no energy. And like one of my favorite announcer friends that I've gotten to do shows with is a guy by the name of Doug Denance, who does a lot of stuff here in Canada. And just the energy that he brings, it makes you feel that way. My next question is for Gideon. With the promoting side of doing shows, and one thing that I've always kind of wondered, so leading up to announcing a show, how far in advance are you booking the venue, trying to get the trucks booked? Like let's break down a little bit of like the behind the scenes of this, because it's very interesting how shows get put together. So like, what's the time frame from, hey, we're planning on doing this show, to show go, trucks hit the floor? Like, how long of a process does that take?
There, Brad.
Yeah, let's use Bristol. So Bristol, being such a legendary venue, we've seen, I think MTX do some stuff there over the last throughout the years, and so like at the beginning, like, okay, let's do Bristol. When does that process start?
It's been going on for 8 to 10 months. It was middle of last year we started working on this deal, and getting the venues one thing, and then being Bristol, it can't just be small. It's got to be a big show. And so even finding 12 independent monster trucks in the middle of May with busy schedules, also trying to like get the caliber of trucks and everything to make this, huge. It's an undertaking. And I tell everybody all the time that once I'm at the show and once everything's happening, the show's going and people are in the seats, that's the easy part. I'm not working the day of the show. That's my fun time. It's stressful. I'm running around, but my work has been done. My work was done months in advance, scheduling the venue, scheduling the trucks, advertising, making sure everything's, it's a lot of moving pieces to get lined up, and that's where the hard work comes in.
And also one thing people may not know is even though the badge on the racetrack is one group, Charlotte, Las Vegas, Texas, Bristol, they're all run by a certain person of the track, a promoter like Humpy Ruler. I just screwed his name up, whatever. And they do different stuff. So people may think, oh, well, another group doing Charlotte. You have you doing, Bristol. Well, Atlanta's part of that same group, and they have Monster Jam. So it's people getting confused. It's the promoting people of the racetrack, even though it's owned by the same organization. They're so big that they have to have other people run the organization, trust them to run the track while they're doing their own thing. Same thing with like what NASCAR owns, like Daytona and Talladega and all Darlington and stuff like that. They have other people running that, even though people don't realize that NASCAR owns them. But for that organization, they have different people. So just wanted to let people know that, that even though the track has that same badge, whether it's like red and white and blue with the little stock car in the middle of it, there's still different, going on. So, which that too, NASCAR just came from Bristol. We saw some photos of your ride truck there. Let's hear some feedback. Was there a lot of people excited about that? Were you guys doing pre-sale tickets at the event too? Was the racetrack promoting for you guys at the show? Because NASCAR is a huge market. It holds 100,000 seats. I mean, after your guys' show, they're gonna have a baseball game there, and they just announced Tim McGraw's playing a concert during the pre-festivities of the baseball game itself between the Reds and the Braves. They just got maybe a few years back. They did a college football game between Virginia Tech and Tennessee, sold out. It's that's just outside of a NASCAR event. Also, it's huge for everything else. So that has to be a very good feeling, and a great feeling too. That if they were doing that, helping you guys out with that, because we saw the ride truck there. You're in the scheduling with a lot of big things at that racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody at Bristol's been so awesome to work with. And yeah, they put us out front and center right beside the fan stage and the fan zone, so our ads were running on the screens all weekend long on the Jumbotron Colossus during the race and everything, and it definitely was a cool and surreal experience. We're sitting there, ride trucks parked, and right beside us is the World Series trophy where they're promoting the baseball game. So being on the same level at a venue with the MLB and NASCAR and college football, it's definitely a cool and surreal experience. And I can't wait till it's finally here. It's May 10th and we're doing it.
Well, and I was, when you were at the race, you got to meet the coach, Joe Gibbs, which I think is really cool. That man is definitely an inspiration, and you guys are bringing a stacked lineup to Bristol. You guys did not go light on this lineup, and I have it right here. So you got John Gordon and Bad Company, Brandon Duro with Bad News Travels Fast, Darren Basil and Blockhead, Mr. Asshole Wheelie himself, Elliot Miller. So he's going to be trying to rap attack his way all around Bristol. You got Jared Smith, Summertack, Jerry Beck and Dirt Crew, we might see that truck. If you outside of the stadium, you might see that truck above the stadium at some point, because that man likes to send it. Dirt Crew Dozer. It still says TBA on the thing that I'm looking at, but
too tall.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be too tall driving that, which
so you got a World Finals race guy who made it to the World Finals racing and will drive the wheels off of anything. So that's another high caliber driver right there.
Yeah, Dalton Widener, he's from Tennessee. Good. It's going to be awesome to see him rip it up there. Trip Jones, Smashosaurus, Tim MF and Jones, Tailgater, Mike Christensen and Vendetta, and the legendary Virginia Giant with Cliff Fowler behind the wheel. Cliff is such a great dude. I got to meet him a couple of years ago, and just solid dude. Talk about building the lineup for this, because there's so many independent teams, drivers. What was your decision making behind this particular lineup?
I mean, like I said, I knew it had to be big. We talk about independent world finals. That's always a dream, and I mean, it's not quite independent world finals, but we're going as close as we can. I mean, Jerry Beck. I think a lot of Jerry. He's probably one of my favorite people in the industry. Not only is he just a huge inspiration, but he's got some of the baddest trucks and drivers in independent monster trucks. That was an easy grab. That was my first phone call was to Jerry. I've got like great people that are staples on Overdrive with Brandon and Cliff. Those guys always show up clean and ready to perform and, tear it up. But when you're talking about an independent show of this caliber, I mean, you can't leave out Tim Jones and his boy. I mean, they are – if you need some wow factor, you put Tim Jones in there, and he's going to add wow factor. And I'm excited. I get to work with some new people that we've never had before, with Mike Christensen, Dalton Widener, and John Gordon. I mean, those three, it doesn't get much better than that. John Gordon's made Monster Jam World Finals, semifinals. Dalton's fourth in Monster Jam points right now. Like, these are top-tier drivers, and they are just ready to burn it down. Like, Elliott, I talked to him, and he's bringing a worn-out set of tires just so he can cut donuts until they're flat, Like, he's a monster truck nerd like we are, and he's just ready to come burn it down. So, really blessed to have the lineup that we got, and I think it's going to be fantastic.
Man, Austin, are you excited to deal with the PA and the media stuff at Bristol Motor Speedway? I mean, I know one time, I think it was a friend of mine, he finally announced a show in Eldora, and he was giddy because it's like Tony Stewart's racetrack, and it's all this crazy stuff going on. Well, you got your hands on what a lot of people, awesome sound system. I mean, it's, one of the premier sports facilities in the nation. How excited are you about that?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. Obviously, having my face along Colossus, the video board there, a little bit daunting. I said, definitely gonna have to make sure, maybe grab some makeup, make sure there's no blemishes on me, because they will show through on that big video board. But super excited. Definitely trying to get all the friends and family out there. Definitely the biggest show. Big undertaking for sure with how many trucks we have. Like Gideon said, I mean, we have some of the top trucks. Jerry Beck, this last weekend just won the toughest monster truck tour championship. So congrats to him. Him and the whole team are going to be out there. Too Tall, like you said, and Dirt Crew Dozer. Definitely worked with Mike Christensen, Dalton Weiner. Dalton's having a killer year. So is Mike. And the list just keeps going on and on. So not only is it a great venue and an awesome place to watch an event, but also we also have the performers on the stage that are going to put through a good event as well.
The one cool thing is, I've been to Bristol. I didn't get to go inside the NASCAR track. I was there for NHRA in 05, but standing outside of the stadium, you're looking it's straight up. That place is super impressive. And it's going to create such an echo. And Gideon, please make this a rule just for this one event. Zoomies only, please. Just let freedom ring. The insane sound that is going to come out of that stadium, especially if you have like Tim Jones with Zoomies versus Elliott. People's ears are going to shatter. Like, it's going to be
Zoomies.
Oh, dude! It's gonna be like, for bring Zoomies back, please. Bring Zoomies back.
But then again,
badass slap wheelies and badass sky wheelies. That's all I ask for the monster truck industry.
But then again, when you listen to Brandon's Bad News Travels Fast, when it fires up, those Magnaflows though, they sound good. Mm-hmm. You don't need
that. And John Gordon's exhaust.
Yeah,
Oh,
but there's some
can't
shows
wait
where I
to-
think John had some zoomies on it. I think.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited to have all 12 trucks fire up for intros and just send them down the front stretch all together.
Oh, the
And just
Echo
make that
and
place.
Thunder Valley.
you
Yeah.
need to have a DB meter at that point, because like that's gonna be louder than a AC/DC concert. And Timothy Dudley just asked a great question. You have a big floor for Bristol. You have so much room. You look at what Cletus McFarland's done for his events there with his burnout pad, or the stadium super trucks he's had with his events. Are you guys gonna give us kind of a little sneak peek of what you guys got planned, or are you keeping that more under wraps for what you guys got going on for the layout?
So what's cool about Monster Trucks at Bristol this time is not only we're stepping up a lot of things, but for the first time ever, we're going to have dirt at Bristol. Before, they've always used the road base and mostly crushables. But this time we're bringing in over 150 loads of dirt and going to make what we're calling like a head-to-head over-under track. And I think people are really going to find it pretty cool. It's not going to be a complete over-under style, but it'll make sense when you see it. We got some big things planned, some big gaps and buses, and it's going to be something to watch. The track definitely is going to fit the lineup.
Well, we're going to continue on here. We got one more sponsor to thank, and then we'll maybe put him in the mix because this sponsor is pretty close to you guys. So now we'll be right back.
And
So
go ahead.
with
Sorry.
Back Channel. Yeah, that was my clue. With Back Channel with Nick Davis. He does a lot of your guys' shows. We see that throughout YouTube and stuff like that. Is he planning on being at Bristol this year? And if so, if he's not, we're going to see him at any other shows with Overdrive?
So we've actually been working with Samson Monster Truck Band on YouTube.
Okay.
He's going to be taking over a lot of our video stuff. Him and Nick are close. I know they talk all the time, and so you might see some Nick sprinkled in there. But Ryan with Samson MT Fan, he's going to be doing our producing and everything for our episodes, and Austin will be doing voiceovers. We're excited. We're gonna bring back like a full-blown speed TV style monster truck episodes, fully voiced over by Austin and our other announcer Blake. I think the fans are really going to like it. It's going to give some inside views from behind the scenes, because a lot of people on YouTube, they can go sit in the stands and see what happens at the show, but not many of them get to see what happens behind the show. And I mean, I think Austin's excited to, really build that up as well.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be nice to actually have a place. I think we've gotten to a point in the monster truck industry where you can find a lot of independent shows here and there, but you're kind of really combing through the internet and YouTube to find those shows. So to have kind of everything be in one place and have more of a professional feel of commentary and graphics as well on it, rather than sometimes, we'll just have someone will just record something on an indie show. It'll be really nice to have something a little bit professional to look at.
And I like that, the whole speed channel vibes, because that was the golden era, for monster truck coverage, and I know with the Lernerville event that was live streamed. Is there any possible plans to have this one live streamed as well, or is it just not in the cards for this year?
No, it absolutely will. Dirt TV will be on site, and they'll have 7-8 cameras ready to film this thing, and it's going to be a full-on production. Every aspect of this event is going to be a big production, and we're excited to have Dirt TV live stream it, because I think it's going to be an event everybody doesn't want to miss, and some people geographically can't make it happen, so we want to make sure they can still see it.
So give a little bit more info of the Dirt Vision and the show itself. You know, someone maybe is interested in going to the show live. You know, when is pit party? Tickets still available? When it's showtime? And then maybe if someone can't, how would they be able to get access to Dirt Vision on their computer, television, smart TV, or whatnot?
Yeah, so gates open at 2:00 for the show, and that's when the track party and monster truck rides will start. We have 3 ride trucks coming. We've got the Hog Wild, and we're also excited. You know, we're going to have a little promoter blend, you know, because Brian Wagner's bringing out Identity Theft for the show, and Elliot's bringing out Crunch Time. So plenty of monster trucks to ride. Tickets are on sale right now for $15 for kids tickets at bristolmonstertrucks.com. And the pre-sale pricing has 2 more weeks left. So, you know, people got to jump on that deal. It's nice. A family of 4 can come to one of the biggest monster truck shows for $84. And you can't really get that kind of entertainment for that price anywhere else. And then we're going to kick the show off at 6. But if you can't make it to the show, you definitely want to go to dirt.tv, and you can get a full-blown production live stream from those guys. And they do such a phenomenal job of capturing events. And, you know, not only can you watch our event, you subscribe to Dirt TV, you've got tens of thousands of episodes that you can watch of racing and rodeos and monster trucks.
And that's going to be awesome because, you know, you guys know I live in BFE, nowhere, Canada, and I'll be able to watch it from home. And I'm excited about that. You know, whenever there's live monster trucks on YouTube or whatever, like, it's such a cool thing. And like, about a year ago is when Monster Jam decided to do the live streaming thing. And I think that changed a lot of things for them and what they're doing, you know, just speaking as just a fan in general, it's brought a lot more eyes on it. And then with what you guys are doing with dirt.tv and last year, like it's so cool to see live monster trucks stream, because it reminds me of the World Final, like the very first World Finals, watching it on pay-per-view when I was younger. Like it brings so much more excitement. You know, besides you know, the monster truck stuff, what else do you guys have planned for, like, freestyle motocross? Any kind of side acts do you guys have planned for this?
No, we're just monster trucks, man. We're just, you know, people come to see the monster trucks. We've got 12 of them, and we're going to make one heck of a monster truck event for them. Hell yeah.
Now we got a little bit of a different show, but someone was curious. I guess this is going to be a different show for you guys. The State Line Speedway. You just want to know, you know, what's the lineup and how many trucks and who's going to be there.
Yeah, right now we got 6 monster trucks going in there. A big lineup of trucks. You know, we got Brandon and Cliff going to that one. Got a pair of Jerry's trucks going to that one. So, and there's even talks about maybe adding 2 more trucks and making it 8 trucks. So that's going to be another big show for sure up there in New York.
You know, another guy that you've been, you know, having at some of your shows, and a guy that I know really well, one of the best up and comers of the industry, you know, Colton with American Scout. You know, any plans, you know, if you're doing Bristol next year, you know, expanding on the lineup, or like having maybe Richie and Colton come out? Like, talk about the guys that you always bring to your shows, because whenever you guys go to a city, you guys are always bringing a hell of a lineup. You know, just talk about, you know, the guys that you always have running with you, you know, like Brandon, you mentioned Brandon DeRoe, you know, and just having such a good base of drivers that you guys can always count on to perform at your guys' shows.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great people. And I tell everybody the most basic way that I book trucks and teams is if they're good people to be around, you know, because at the end of the day, like we've talked about, we like to have fun at the events. And if they're not fun and they're not a good time, you know, they're not, like, we don't do drama. We don't do any of that. Like, if you're in it to come out here and just try to compete for wins and are into all that, you know, there's plenty of tours for you. And we like some competitiveness, you know, some fun. But at the end of the day, we want to be done the show and we can go all, you know, crack jokes and have a good time after the show. And so we've got a great group of people that, you know, who run hard. And, you know, another thing is, like we've said, we're fans at the end of the day. So if they're cool trucks and they're running good and doing cool stuff, we're going to keep booking them.
You got to get a big bad Ram, with my co-host over here driving at a show at some point.
Absolutely.
And we got a couple. Let's see here. It's just talking about lineups again. Mostly the state line. You also, let's talk a little bit about. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Corey and Preston, they were regulars on your Overdrive tour too, and Corey is taking a little bit of a step back, doing select shows and stuff like that. Let's talk about them. I know they were there a lot for you guys, for your summer shows and stuff like that. Is there maybe gonna see Illuminator, or is gonna be just select few events that Corey's talking about? I know Preston's doing some stuff with, I think, Daniel over there in South Carolina, but any works for seeing that?
Yeah, we've already got Corey booked for 2 shows this year.
Okay.
Both of our Maryland dates, he's going to come. He hasn't decided if he's running Toxic or Illuminator. He said whichever body's in the best shape. But I'm glad to still get some of the Snyders on board. They're some of the greatest people in the industry. I truly believe that. And I've been running around with them since I started in the monster truck industry. They've always been there, even when I was just crewing for another team. We were always at shows with Corey and Jay, and you can't beat Corey and Jay. They are just some of the nice people, humble, do anything for you, and definitely sucks that they're stepping back, but I'm glad they're not completely calling it quits.
Brad,
go ahead, Cheech.
I'm just going to answer this one question. No. All right, thank you.
So, as we've said before, we're all monster truck nerds. That's the thing that brought us all together in this industry. We love this stuff. So let's nerd out a little bit. I think it's time to bring out the nerd side of us all.
I got my popcorn.
She just got his popcorn. So I quickly want to show this footage. So a Discord server that I'm a part of posted a picture and then a video of it, and I think you guys are going to appreciate this. This is from 2006, okay? And I just caught a glimpse of the video, and Bill Payne is an absolute badass, okay? I got to nerd out over this. So watch this. Just how badass is that? I wish I could have seen Bill in this old Jeep from back in the day.
Just a legend.
I remember being little. I used to just look up on YouTube. I was like, Rockstar Bill Payne compilations, monster truck. It was always just highlight reels, essentially moonwalks before they're, cool right here.
Oh, we got Preston here. Before you go ahead, I want to ask you, what's louder than a monster truck for us?
That was talking about a comment left on some of our advertisements over the last few days.
I just clued in because I sent you a message about that too.
Yeah. Poor Colin.
Just some of the comments that people make on stuff, but talking about the old school and retro stuff, like nerding out, what are some of your guys' favorite memories of just watching monster trucks growing up? Like for me, it's Penda series. I still love it to this day. Just straight up, all out drag racing. But what are some of your guys' favorite memories? Watching monster trucks growing up.
Yeah, I grew up watching Penda, but really live event wise, I lived right next to the Pontiac Silverdome. So going to all those shows in the early 2000s was awesome. I feel like I always remember my first event that I can remember in my head is, I believe it was the debut of Raminator and Raminition, I think. And Brutus was also there, and it was the show where he pulls out of the stall and loses the tire. But it was just such an eclectic lineup. And always was rooting for, my guy, Jim Kohler. But outside of that, a couple of the World Finals, definitely World Finals 18, great moment with the front flip. You had so many storylines that weekend. You had Kohler making it to semifinals. I think Ryan won his first championship there in racing. And then you had the front flip, of course. So many memories, but definitely hoping to make some more here soon.
That was definitely the best World Finals, in my opinion. But I definitely fell in love with like the Speed TV era of like 2005 to 2012. Those were like the peak years. And I was 4 or 5 years old and just waiting until 5 o'clock on Speed TV after On the Edge was finished, so we could watch Monster Jam and just sit. No matter where I was, grandparents, at home, it was always, we got to go to Speed channel so we can watch Monster Jam. And I used to, like I would always get the yearbooks every year, and it was like my thing at like 4 or 5 years old to memorize all the drivers. And so people would say, who drives Brutus? Well, that's Chris Bergeron. And just trying to memorize every truck and driver. That was the 2005, 2006 area was really when I fell in love.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I always thought it was a win-win because, we're waiting for On the Edge because I'm the same way. I did like the 90s, but it just seemed like the 2000 for me, like the 2000s when it was like T&M or Madness to Speed to 2012. I just thought that was pretty cool. I mean, the 90s were good, but like when you had On the Edge and then they show like the 4-wheel drive jamborees, so you get to see what Bigfoot's doing. Then the next show is Monster Jam, so you get a double dose of awesomeness. You get there's Bigfoot, there's Gravedigger, and you get all the the fun stuff like that. Yeah, for me it was that time period. I did like that. I was just a little bit too young with the I still remember the 90s. Just I guess my favorite. Really, I like that time period, but mine was pretty much from 96 to 2000. Kind of the last time you saw Bigfoot at Monster Jam. But you had so many heavy hitters at a show. Like you would have, for instance, like Pittsburgh, Steel City Monster Jam. You had Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, Tom Benson, Monster Patrol, Eric Tack, Bigfoot, Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, Charlie Pauken, and Excalibur, Tony Farrell, and Wild Thing. That's 6 trucks, and that's half the lineup, and that's a stack lineup. Seeing what Alan Pizzo, Predator, and Survivor and everything like that. So I don't know. I like that type of time period.
I'm sorry. I just saw that and I had to bring it up. Preston's comment. Forrest's favorite memory of Monster Trucks is my freestyle in Xenia, Ohio.
That was the time I almost threw up at a Monster Truck event. Never done that before, but I almost did when Preston goes hot rodding through the grass and Bauer slides right into a telephone pole.
like as far as like we were talking about like eras and stuff, like for me it was like because I was born in 91, so I was able to watch grow up watching the Penda series. But for me it was like Trucks and Tractor Power and then American Sports Cavalcade. That for me, like that was the greatest thing. And shout out to Lucas Oil on the Edge, because that was a very underrated show in my opinion. That show introduced me to so many different motorsports when I was younger. Like that show is severely underrated in my opinion.
I agree.
And I will say, I think that was what was super cool for me. Like one of my coolest experiences doing monster trucks is, growing up watching Speed Channel. And that's when I fell in love, and Scott Douglas's voice was in my house all the time. I always thought, he was the voice of monster trucks. He is the voice of monster trucks still, in my opinion. And then like, for like 2 years, a few years ago, I got to work side by side with Scott Douglas on our tour and helping him run sound for him to announce. That was definitely a super surreal and cool experience.
It's so cool, like just thinking about that, like like I know, like trying to think of the words here, like how cool Monster Trucks is. Like it's allowed all of us to do things that we never imagined. Like, well, there's a fire somewhere. That's what happens when you live on a really busy street, a really busy road. But like, Gideon, you running your own events and, owning your ride truck, Austin, now you're announcing at shows and doing stuff that you love. Cheech, you're driving and working on trucks. Me with the designing, being able to travel because of monster trucks. Like, who knew that, this industry would give us these opportunities? These big, dumb, stupid trucks, now it's like a part of our lives. It's such a cool thing to really think about.
Oh, 100%. I feel like growing up, it was always like, what do you want to get into? Like, what do you want to be as your job? And I'm like, I want to be in monster trucks. And a lot of people were like, what? Like, I've been to one of those events. And, it was always a push-pull of like, do I really want to really go for the dreams or not? And it really just kind of all seems to come together. I feel like for a lot of us, like just even looking back in the old MTC days, back in the old forum and everything, like I just still to this day will re-see names that I remember from in the past. And I was always a lot more quiet, but it was always nice kind of seeing everyone kind of, especially these past, I feel like 5 years or so, everyone's kind of been rising to the occasion and kind of the fandom here.
Yeah. And that's what I love about having like Austin on board. Like when it came to getting announcers, there's a bunch of announcers who are already established and everything. But I was like, if I'm going to come out here and have fun and live my dream, like I'm going to do it with like my buddies, like that's why when I called Austin, I was like, hey, either you're good at it or not. Or if not, like, let's go try it, let's see what happens. And, he's rose to the occasion and he's kicking butt and he does such a good job. And like I said, it's super fun to get to share these experiences with, people that we grew up talking about, like dreaming about the stuff that we're doing now. So it's definitely awesome.
Man. So can people follow you guys on Facebook, a website, Instagram for, finding out if maybe a Overdrive tour will be coming around their city?
Yeah, definitely follow us on Facebook at Overdrive Monster Trucks. And you got to check us out on YouTube because that's where the new YouTube series is coming out. It's Overdrive Monster Trucks on YouTube. And, like I said, we're just going to have some episodes coming from our first show here in the next few weeks. And we're really proud to start building that over this year.
Man, that's cool. So look out on YouTube, Facebook, their website for shows around. Also, I think Samson MT fan, right? Samson MT fan. Mm-hmm. Check a look at his stuff too. He do some also with the Overdrive and has some cool footage too outside of that also. Any social media people can follow you at there, Brad?
They can follow me at The Only Monster Truck Canucker. Check out my friend's album, Pioneer by Melody Rose. Features me on drums and my wife on violin. If you want music that'll lift you up, or if you're having a rough day, check that out. Just thank you everybody for the support with the podcast. Cheech, where can people follow you at? And do you have any upcoming shows that you're going to be driving at some point soon, buddy?
As of right now, there's some decent things coming in the horizon. I can't let the cat out of the bag yet, but you gotta see some of it later on. As of right now, I think my only I know in stone it's the Bristol Motor Speedway show for Overdrive, not Overdrive, that other group. I forget their name again.
Never Lift,
yeah. I'm gonna get yelled at here in a couple seconds on a text message, but I've heard worse. But anyway, that said, there could be something going on between them. But outside of that, we're just getting some stuff ready to go. Finishing up our Monster Jam season. We're going to be, I think, in the next couple weeks in Idaho and then Pensacola, Florida for Monster Jam. And then go from there. So with that, I think it's Dan Agosh MT28 on Instagram, Dan Agosh on Facebook, on TikTok, and that's pretty much it. Crush This is on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok as well as is Twitch Twitch, not Switch. If you go to Switch, I don't know if that's going to lead you anywhere.
I don't know.
Twitch will. If you go there and take a look at that too. Thank you for that. As of right now, further information will be posted by the Hall Brothers Facebook page, and information outside of that. The information that we have on the team is exactly what they posted on Facebook. So if you guys have a chance to pray for, if you say a little prayer, they're handling it the best they can. Let's just say that. The last couple of weeks, I haven't really seen them that much, but they're spending time with very important person in their life. We would all do it too. So we're trying to run the ship at the shop and do what we need to do also. That's why if fans are wondering why Overboard was at Lincoln, Nebraska, is because of that. So, but Kurt was there also representing the team. So hopefully, I was about to say, Forrest, you had Mark at a couple shows in the last couple of years, but it'd be kind of cool seeing some Hall Brothers trucks at your event if anything would be possible.
Definitely. I'd love to work with you guys more, get you out to a show and then do some more with Mark. I love working with Mark. And that was another one that like a surreal experience. I grew up, Mark is a legend of the sport. He always was. And, it was cool. Oh, yeah. But, he's got all kinds of knowledge and just cool stories. Love having Mark. And definitely would like to work with you guys some more.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing Mark talk. We had a show somewhere in Ohio. And you guys had a show somewhere in Ohio. And we were at a dealership. And all we got from a text message from Mark was, it's raining here. I don't know exactly where in Ohio, but he said it just rained that weekend. But Nathan Smith always talks about the shows that you guys do. Andy Ulam, I'm very close fans of Andy and
the PA posse.
The PA posse, yeah, Kevin and Chris, all those. But yeah, thank you, Timothy. We just want to give you an update on that also. You guys outside of Overdrive, do you guys have, we'll start with you, Austin, and then we'll go with you, Forrest. Any social media that you guys have, that maybe fans can follow you guys at?
Facebook, just Austin Ashley. And then I think Instagram, I want to say is Austin_Ashley, but you'll know it if you see the profile picture.
And then I'm pretty much just Gideon Bernard on Facebook, and then at GiddyBit on Instagram. I'm pretty quiet on Instagram for the most part as far as monster truck stuff. But definitely make sure you follow Overdrive Monster Trucks on Instagram as well.
Whoa, time out. Is Bristol, we're going to have a forest farmer meeting?
A what?
Farmer. The crew chief for Elliott Miller. In his
Josh Farm.
Josh, you're gonna have Forrest and
he's
Farmer.
coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
I met him a few weeks ago when I was doing some stuff, ride truck stuff for Brian Wagner.
Okay.
Elliott's got such a good group of people like Josh and Dustin and Taco Todd. Like I met Taco Todd, and like after 5 minutes of talking with him, he felt like an uncle or something. He's just such a good dude.
He's Dale Earnhardt.
The whole group. Exactly. And it was a funny story. He came out for the second show to do rides because he was giving rides and I was giving rides. I said, man, you ain't got your Dale Earnhardt hat on. And he said, oh, crap. Went straight back to his starter home and swapped that.
Got to get him a set of gargoyles now.
Yeah, do it for Dale.
Do it for Dale. Hell yeah, brother. One quick thing before we end up, guys. I was talking about it with these guys before the podcast, but I am taking a massive road trip. July. I'm going to be at World Finals for 4th of July weekend. The Canadian is going to be invading. I hope I don't bring any Cobra chickens with me because I will sick them on you guys. But if there's any, and I'll be driving through the states afterwards. So if there's any shows, Missouri, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, please let me know. I'd like to check out some other events while I am traveling across the United States after World Finals. So I just wanted to put that out there. You know, I have plans. I was talking about the Bigfoot shop and other places. So anybody doing shows around those states, let me know beginning of July. And just wanted to put that out there and try to manifest going to some more shows and hopefully not pissing my wife off too much, because I already pissed her off once tonight by saying calm down, and I think I'm going to die afterwards.
Nice knowing you, bud. So the crash is presented by Day Concepts and hosted by just Dan Agosh. Brad had a nice life, and the first mistake is set his wife mad. So this will probably be we'll just put the tombstone up on the television. Yeah.
But guys,
We can make this
you
a
know,
history book. Forrest's show was the last show. Brad, no, I'm just kidding.
but guys, also check up on your friends and family. Mental health is a very important thing. If you're
Are
struggling,
you all
or going
right,
through
Brad? I'm
anything-
checking up on you now.
I'm all right. I said I was joking with my wife earlier. Okay, I was joking with her. I jokingly said, "Calm down." I wasn't being serious, and the look on her face, it put the fear of God in me again. Okay, like just
He once was not a believer, and now he's a believer.
yeah, like please. Other men that are married or men that aren't even married or have girlfriends, do not tell your wife or girlfriend to calm down, because you will die. Okay, like I don't know what
within a 30-minute period, huh?
Yeah,
He died and came back alive.
but in all seriousness, guys, like check up on your friends and family. Mental. I've been to a couple throwdown shows. I can actually say this, that where I live is the only place that Monster Truck Throwdown has ever done a small arena. I can claim that.
Also, the only time Brad made viral video.
Yes, I did. When I fell over the hockey dasher. Thanks, Cheech. So, but
It's a
and again,
package deal.
but guys, check out your friends and family. If you're struggling, there's plenty of hotlines to help you. Reach out to me or anybody. Like, we want you here on this earth. So, just wanted to put that out there as well again.
And also, I always say this too: donate blood. Central Blood Bank, United Red Cross. It may just help someone out. It helped Brad Shipper out. Helped Matt Schultz out. It helped a lot of people. Just donating a pint will help someone around the United States, just having a matching thing, and go from there. And also, we're getting towards the time of some parts of the state starting to get a little hot. Some parts of the state and Canada is starting to still get cold. If you're having animals, pets, stuff like that, bring them in. Heat, winter, same cold, extreme weather. They're part of your family too, and they don't need to be, outside. I mean, my pet Lenny's, he's in there too. So, just kidding. But yeah, that's about it for me.
All right.
And also, next week's guest is Mason Paul from Team Throttle Monster. He's going to be on next week. And then the week after that is our Mark Warner episode. And I think he's going to have, Bob or Bill Shockwave.
Bill Brockman.
Oh, my God.
He's got to be on 2 weeks from now with Mark.
Hey, I'm excited to ask about when that Shockwave was on the show Viva La Bam, the one episode. I'm excited about that.
ECW truck. And for you, Forrest, you can have your revenge on Preston May 20th, because Preston will be on.
Gideon's already great. You know what? We should have Gideon host that episode. Just let it go and just let those two go.
Just ruined it. Now people are gonna assume he's gonna be on. But May 20th, Preston will be on for you. So if you want to pop on and say something, you're more welcome to. So, yeah, Brad, close her out since you've been, missing.
Yep. Well, guys, again, Cheech, thank you for taking care of the last couple of weeks. I appreciate it, brother. And guys, I'm going to go die. My wife's about to kill me. So hopefully I'll be on next week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But guys, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.